YoshiP, my guy, we need to talk. I am literally running out of Final Fantasy XVI thumbnail material. I definitely need you to drop this trailer sooner rather than later. However, we have gotten some brand new information that looks incredibly promising. And you're gonna want to hit that subscribe button because I report on everything related to Final Fantasy XVI, from the smallest updates to all the way to the biggest ones. And today's update shows that great things are on the horizon. If you recall, Square Enix and fashion brand Uniqlo are teaming up to deliver Final Fantasy 35th Anniversary t-shirts. In Uniqlo's 35th Anniversary pamphlet, we actually got a new comment from YoshiP about the state of development on Final Fantasy XVI. Shout out to Dingo for bringing this to everyone's attention, and Audrey for the translation. And things are looking really good, especially if you're someone like me. In fact, it almost feels like Naoki Yoshida targeted me with this statement. We're in the final stages of development for the new numbered game in the series, Final Fantasy XVI. We aim to deliver a comprehensive game full of story and gameplay. Unlike an online game that involves many players at the same time, FF16 offers a different experience where it focuses on the individual player and immerses you in the story. I think it's a very fleshed out story. For those who have grown up and realized that reality isn't kind to you and have drifted away from Final Fantasy, we hope that FF16 will be a game that can bring back a new passion that you once had with the series. This statement, while short and sweet, is absolutely awesome. First of all, the fact that Final Fantasy XVI is in the final stages of development, this is huge and reaffirms the fact that this game is in fact coming sooner rather than later. To clarify, this is obviously not the spring update that we're supposed to be getting, which is expected to come in the form of a trailer. Bear in mind that spring stretches all the way until about June 20th, so there is still plenty more time for that trailer to drop. There's also been a little bit of confusion online. Some people have taken the individual player part to confirm that only Clive will be playable, or rather it's confirmed that there will be no other party members. But to clarify, in the context of this sentence, he's talking about as opposed to multiplayer, it is focusing on the individual player. In other words, as opposed to being an MMORPG like Final Fantasy XIV, his other game, this is a game that is solely focused on the single player experience. This is Creative Business Unit 3's first single player outing, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Final Fantasy XVI shapes up. But considering how successful they've been with Final Fantasy XIV, and just how incredible that game's story is, fans have really high expectations. I think the thing that excites me the most about this statement is about him wanting to get back those people who drifted away from Final Fantasy, and bringing that passion back anew to the series. I cannot stress just how important that is, and how incredibly reassuring it is to me that he's on the right track. For me, it was Naoki Yoshida's previous works that reignited the flames of passion. And yes, this is the part of the video where I talk about how much I love 14. But it really did bring me back into Final Fantasy at a time in which I thought maybe the series just was not for me anymore. But it's not just me who feels this way. It's also Hironobu Sakaguchi, the father of Final Fantasy, who never longs off of the game. This guy has clocked more hours than I ever will in my lifetime, and probably more than you ever will. And it's the same with Yasumi Matsuno, who also plays the game. I absolutely cannot wait to see what they're going to be able to accomplish in Final Fantasy XVI. If they can tell an incredible story in 14 with the restrictions of an MMO, with all of those restrictions being lifted, they're going to be able to tell something really compelling in Final Fantasy XVI. Now, going back for a second to talk about the final stages of development, this means that this game is nearing completion, and the wait is not going to be much longer until we finally get our hands on this one. With them being in the final stages of development, it's really hard to imagine this game being more than a year away. While the first quarter of 2023 seems like the safest estimate, it wouldn't be too outlandish to think that this game could still come this year, 2022. Everything about Final Fantasy XVI has me completely riled up. I am so excited to see what Creative Business Unit 3 can do, and after multiple bangers within Final Fantasy XIV, through its expansions Heaven's Sword, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and Endwalker, I trust that Naoki Yoshida and his team are going to deliver another brand new banger. Shout out to patron Ray Rodriguez and the rest of the Ultima community.